Good day. My name is Girth Pretty. I'm the Warrant Officer aboard HMS Psyche Canadian Maritime Heritage Society. And tonight I'm going to share with you my knowledge and experience regarding stitching leather onto your sweeps so that they don't wear out as much or as fast as possible. So the pieces of equipment that you're going to need for doing this is you do need some good soft malleable leather, and actually this one I soaked in water for several hours so it gets really soft. You then also need to, and I'll bring this a little bit closer so you can see, punch some holes 1/4 inch from the edge every 1/2 inch along, and make sure you measure it well, because if you notice I actually did it both at 1/4 inch, but initially I did it at 1/2 inch, and 1/2 inch was too far. So do it 1/4 inch from the edge, 1/2 inch from each other, whether you're using an awl or using a leather punch. Do that when the leather is still dry. The other pieces of equipment you're going to need is some waxed thread and 2 good needles that the thread can easily go through. Now, whether they are sharp needles or blunt tip needles, it doesn't really matter, but make sure that they're long enough so that you're going to be easily able to thread them up and around the into the leather that you're going to be working on. So let me show you basically what we're going to be doing. I'm just going to move the camera. So you can see some of the finished work right here. This one I did earlier this afternoon with using what's known as the baseball diamond stitch. I'll show you even closer. Because your whole goal is that you don't want the wood of the sweep to be touching the wood of either your gunnel or of the thole plates that will wear down the sweeps, or also the gunnel or the thole plate. So you have the leather there to, make it more gentle. So we have the leather strip right here with the holes in place, and so the holes are opposite each other, as you can see, or maybe not. So we're going to start off by, you can use your 2 needles on opposite ends. Now this is actually the trickiest part of this whole thing, is you first start by threading one end of the one needle through one end, attach it around the edge, and then do the same thing on the other side and pull it taut. Now you want it to be as even as possible. Give yourself a good amount of thread, because there's nothing worse than suddenly running out as you're trying to complete this. Pull it taut like so, and then using the opposite needle. Again, this looks a little bit challenging, but it does get a lot easier. Like so. And then back through the same holes from the bottom. So I'll make it nice and tight. So there's one. Now you want also this seam of the leather to be down along the flat edge of the blade. Okay, there we go. So you can see now I've gone back through the same holes twice. I'm going to make it snug. You don't need to pull it too 100% tight. because as the leather was wet, as it dries, it will tighten even more. And so there's our start. Then we just go repetitively, and I'm sorry, it's going to be repetitive, through one hole with one needle going underneath, and then with the other in the opposite direction to create, starting that diamond, and then just gently snug it. You don't want to pull it too tight because you don't want to rip the wet leather. And now you'll see me continuing back and forth until the whole leather is stitched in place. So again, just a little bit snug. You want to keep in the same order so that one thread, the same thread, is constantly tightening the other in the cross weave. And just make it a little snug. The reason why we removed the leathers is that we repainted the sweeps. We removed the leathers which had been previously nailed on with copper tacks. We didn't like that too much from the previous owners of the Psyche because we didn't want to wear down even faster the gunnels or the thole plates. So I'm now about 2 inches done. Again, just tighten, snug. And you can see that once it's started, it's repetitive and easy. You just keep on going. Hopefully no one disturbing you. That's why I do this in my garage, because there's space in the garage. Back and forth. I'm sure there must be a sea shanty that could be sung at this time. I don't know it, so I'm not going to sing it. So it's a lot easier having pre-made the holes through the leather as compared to having to push the needle through the leather using a sailor's palm. And also what I did is that I marked the underside of the leather with exactly where the 1/4 inch level was, line, and then making 1/2 inch marks. So then the holes would be right opposite each other. More precise. And we continue on. These were the original leathers of the sweep, so there's still some of the holes from the copper tacks. So you just have to make sure that you don't put the needle through the wrong hole. Just take your time. Whoops, something stuck there. Make it snug, and we continue. The advantage of using the blunt needles is that you don't accidentally prick yourself. Whoa, what happened there? There we go. Do the cross and gently tighten. You can see that the leather is getting nice and snug. Just by gently tightening it. It's not exciting, but it has to be done. Best to do it well at the beginning of the season. As compared to doing repairs during the sailing and boating season. So we're almost, I'd say, 2/3 of the way. Oops, my needle fell off. So I just have to thread the wax thread back through. There we go. And we continue on. Cross and make it snug. Cross, make it snug. Coming down to the last 2 holes. So again, cross, make it snug. As we get to the last hole, we're going to put it through. There we go. Make the cross over. Make it taut. Then we're going to go in, so going across, through the hole, back through the original hole. With one, and same with the other. So this is the line going across, in through the top, underneath, and in through below in the original hole. Now just tighten it all up, nice and snug, and then we'll do a surgeon's knot. So I'm going to remove my needles. Don't need them anymore. Put them out of the way. Surgeon's knot is a variation on the reef knot. So left over, right, and under, tight. Then right over left and under, second time under, and I'll do it a third time under. And then pull it taut. There we go. And then using either your knife or a pair of shears, just cut off the excess. So I'll give you a close-up. On what was done. So this was the knotting right here. You can see the one I did earlier today. It's drawing out as compared to the other two that was done last night, and the far one which was done 2 nights ago. Now once the leather is completely dried, it's recommended either to apply some neat's foot oil, which helps to protect the leather and waterproof it, or you could also use mink oil, because from my research, the neat foot oil, so this is the mink oil, the neat's foot oil actually can damage the wax thread, while the mink oil does not. And the other reason why I decided to use mink oil is I had it, while the neat's foot oil, I had to go and buy it. So yeah, so when these two are dry in a day, I will apply the mink oil over top and all around the sides to protect the leather. So it was my pleasure sharing my experience of preparing the leathers for the sweeps and how to knot them with you. Do take a look at our other videos on our HMS Psyche YouTube channel, and feel free to contact us. And if you're ever in the Port Credit Toronto area, or if you live in the area, hey, contact us. We'd love to have you aboard the longboat for you to experience sailing aboard a replica 18th century Royal Navy longboat. Take care. Cheers.